Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. Today we will be presenting our project for the subject BMKV 3313 Environmental and Sustainability. The title of our project is Carbon Footprint Analysis at NASI AYAM ESAH.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Atikah bin MOHAMAD. So I'm going to explain for the background of the carbon footprint. A carbon footprint is the total greenhouse gases from the human activity like using energy, transport and making food. For our project, we are focusing in food businesses where basically carbon footprint come from cooking, delivery, packaging and waste.
Good evening. I'm going to explain about the problem statement. NASI AYAM ESAH is facing environmental problem due to high energy use, waste and pollution from deliver and staff level. Poor recycling and low awareness among staff and customer make things worse. The issues affect both the environment and the business. Immediate action is needed to save energy, reduce waste and promote greener habits. There are three objectives. The first one is to measure and document carbon footprint of NASI AYAM ESAH. The second one, to improve waste management practice with a focus on reducing waste. And the third one is to minimize energy consumption through the adoption of energy efficient technologies in air conditioning, lighting, refrigeration, and heating system.
Next, for the project scope, our analysis of electricity usage for NASI AYAM ESAH, and then assessment of waste generation, recycling practices, and disposal methods. And the last one is identification of the major sources of the carbon emission, including energy consumption in the NASI AYAM ESAH eatery and the transportation-related emission. And then we are moving to the next slide, which is methodology. Methodology is basically outlines the entire project process, starting with the initial stage through to completion. It details how the data was collected, the analysis, and the overall workflow for our project. So basically, this is our flowchart of our project. So first, we're starting with the identify the problem statement for our project and the job scope with the objective, and then we contact the owner to make an appointment and to collect the data, such as how much the oil that they use to cook, the menu, and then how many customer per day. And then after we collect the data, we proceed with the data collection, and then we calculate the emission factor and analysis for the data. And then the last one, we are making the slide and do our presentation.
So hello, very good morning and evening. So today I'm going to talk about the emission factor. This table shows the emission factor used to calculate the carbon footprint at NASI AYAM ESAH. Each factor represents how much carbon dioxide equivalent or CO2 is released per unit of activity. For electricity consumption, the emission factor is 0.774 kilograms of CO2 per kilowatt hour based on the 2032 grid data from the Peninsular Malaysia Energy Commission. Water use contributes 0.344 kilograms of CO2 per cubic meter sourced from a 2022 journal study. Fuel emission vary by type, which is petrol produce 2.34502 kg CO2 per liter, while diesel emits slightly more at 2.51206 kg CO2 per liter, both according to DEFRA 2023. Finally, solid waste has been the highest factor, nearly 497 metric tons of CO2 per short tons of landfill material due to high methane emissions from organic waste in landfills. These standardized value are crucial for accurately calculating emissions and identifying high impact area for improvement. So this table shows the actual consumption data and calculated carbon emission over a 3 months period at NASI AYAM ESAH for electricity, water, fuel and solid waste. For electricity, use range from 454 kilowatt per hour in April to 1000 kilowatt per hour in June, producing emission between 438 and 774 kilograms of CO2. In total, this amount nearly 2000 kilograms of carbon emission from electricity alone. Water usage was recorded at 175 cubic meter in April, decreasing to 148 in June. This contributed to the 162 kilogram of CO2 across the 3 months, a smaller but still significant environmental impact. Fuel consumption was constant at 180 liter and resulted in over 422 kilograms of CO2 emissions, mainly from the vehicle usage like deliveries and also staff commuting. However, solid waste show the highest emission by far, with about 390 kilograms of waste per month. Emission reached over 193 millions of kg of CO2 in April and could also continue to increase slightly in the following months. In summary, this data highlight that while electricity and fuel are notable, solid waste is actually the largest source of the emissions, pointing to urgent need to waste reductions efforts.
Moving on to the result and analysis for electricity consumption, as you can see in the table, electric usage and a carbon emission for the April, May and June. So electricity usage is one of a key contributor to the carbon emission at NASI AYAM ESAH. Emission was calculated using the official emission factor for Peninsular Malaysia, which is 0.774 kilogram CO2 over kilowatt per hour. So the key point, highest consumption in June, likely due to increases customer activity or longer operating hour. So the electricity emission totally near 2000 kg CO2 over 3 months. It shows a direct link between electricity usage and environmental impact. Next, we analyze fuel consumption, particularly from transportation activities, which is the one of the most direct and impactful contributor to the carbon emission. As you can see in the table, is the fuel consumption and the carbon emission up to 3 months, which is March, April, and May. So we categorize fuel use 4 main categories activities, which is staff commuting by car, staff commuting by motorcycle, customer visit, supply and delivery trip. Fuel usage came mainly from staff commuting, supply and delivery trip, and customer visit. And the carbon emission from fuel are calculated using the emission factor for petrol, which is 2.34502 kilogram CO2 per liter according to DEFRA 2023.
Okay, now I'm going to explain about the water consumption. Water consumption refers to the amount of water used by a faculty, household, or activity for various purposes such as cooking, cleaning, and sanitation. In business like restaurant, it includes water used in food preparation, dishwashing, and washing and general cleaning. 3 months of data taken, which is from April, May, and June. For the April month, the water usage is 554, and it collects the lowest total emission kilogram of carbon, which is 428.796. For the May month, the water usage is 935, and the total carbon emission is 723.169. For the June month, the water usage is 1000, and it collects the highest total carbon emission, which is 774, and the total water usage for the 3 months is 2489, and the total carbon emission for the 3 months is 1926.486. So the highest carbon emission is on June month, which is 774 kg CO2. Okay, for the solid waste refers to any non-liquid waste material derived from human activity that is discharged as useless or unwanted. In restaurants like NASI, AYAM, ESAH, this include food leftover, packaging material, and other kitchen or dining waste. Solid waste is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emission, especially when sent to landfills where organic waste break down anaerobically and release methane and potent greenhouse gas. 3 month data taken, which is from April, May, and June. For April month, the total packaging waste kg per day is 1.2, and monthly total solid waste is around 1977, and total carbon emission for April month is around 190 billion. For the May month, total packaging waste kg per day is 0.9, and monthly is collect around 189, and total carbon emission for May is around 194 billion. Then for June month, total packaging waste kg per day is 1.1, and monthly total solid waste is 183, and total carbon emission is around 198 billion. So the total 3 months of packaging waste is 3.2, and total monthly solid waste for 3 months is 549, and the total carbon emission for 3 months is around 582 billion. Thank you.
Okay, I will begin by explaining the carbon footprint at Nasi Ayam ESAH. So what is the carbon footprint? The carbon footprint is the total amount of carbon dioxide, or we call CO2, released into the air because of daily activities at Nasi Ayam ESAH. This includes everything from turning on lights and using cooking appliances to using water for cleaning, fuel for transport, and waste that ends up in landfills. The main sources of emissions at the restaurant are electricity, water, fuel used by staff and delivery vehicles, and solid waste like leftover food and plastic packaging. So, by understanding the carbon footprints, help us see which activity has the biggest impact on the environment. From there, we can find better ways to reduce pollution and run the restaurant more sustainably. Now, let's look at the carbon emission in more detail for each month, which is April, May, and June. So, this table shows emission from four main sources, which is electricity, water, food, and solid waste. So, as we can see here, that solid waste is by far the largest contributor to carbon emissions. This is mostly from leftover food and packaging that goes to landfill. Electricity emission increase each month. In April, it was the lowest because the restaurant was just returning to normal after Hari Raya. But in May and June, customer numbers increased, so more appliances like rice cookers, refrigerators, and lights were used. Water emission actually went down each month. This may show better water saving habits by the staff. Food emissions stayed the same in all 3 months, around 150 kilograms of CO2, because the staff commuting and delivery schedules didn't change much. Now we move to the next slide. This slide shows a comparison of the total carbon emission for each month. In April, the total was around 190 million kg CO2. In May, it rose to about 194 million, and in June, it peaked at 198 million. The main reason for this increase is the rising amount of solid waste and electricity used as customer activity grew. From this, we can say that solid waste is the most serious problem. Even though it's normal for a restaurant to have food waste and packaging, the numbers show we need to manage it better. Food emission was stable and water use improved slightly, which is a good sign. In summary, the restaurant can reduce its carbon footprint by saving electricity, using less packaging, and improving how food waste is handled. Small change in daily routines can make a big difference for the environment.
There are several factors that cause higher carbon emissions at Nasi Ayam Maesah. First is excessive solid waste generation. The shop produces a lot of food waste and packaging every day. Most of it is thrown away and ends up in landfills, which release harmful gases into the air. Second is high electricity consumption. They use many appliances such as rice cooker, fridge, and fans for long hours. This increases the electricity bill and the carbon release from the power usage. Third is unoptimized transportation activities. Deliveries for ingredients and customer orders are not properly planned. This causes more trips, more fuel use, and more pollution from vehicles. Fourth is inefficient water usage. Too much water is used for washing and cleaning. This wastes water and uses more energy for water treatment and pumping. And the last one is seasonal customer demand increase during busy seasons. More food is prepared and more packaging is used. This creates extra waste and raises electricity and water use, which adds to carbon emissions. To reduce the carbon emissions, we suggest several simple strategies that Nasi Ayam Maesah can apply. First is to implement a food waste management system. The shop can control portion sizes and donate leftover food. This helps reduce the amount of waste going to be landfill. Second is to upgrade to energy-efficient appliances and practice. Using LED lights and energy-saving appliances can help lower electricity use. They should also switch off equipment when not in use. Third is to introduce eco-friendly and reusable packaging. Using biodegradable or reusable containers can help reduce plastic waste and pollution. Fourth is to optimize delivery and transport routes. Planning the best routes and combining trips can reduce fuel use and cut down vehicle emissions. And the last one is to install water-saving devices and encourage best practice. Using water-saving taps and teaching staff to avoid wasting water can help save water and reduce energy use in water system. The carbon footprint analysis of Nasi Ayam Maesah reveals that the greatest emission factor is solid waste, especially food leftover and packaging, followed by electricity consumption, transport fuel, and water consumption. Emission in peak times such as Hari Raya and school holidays were high because cooking, cleaning, and delivery activities were done more. The restaurant can minimize such emissions by enhancing food waste control, install energy-efficient system and equipment, change to green packaging, arrange delivery so that they use fewer resources, and install water conservation devices. The above measures are not only feasible but also within reach on a day-to-day basis. Through organization and cooperation, every individual in the restaurant can make a difference in the overall impact on the environment. There is significant of awareness and minor effort that can be conducted on a regular basis and can create significant shifts in sustainability in also described in this work.